Alright, everybody, welcome back to Rogue Trader. As the usual disclaimer needs to happen, this is a heavily modded game. I can get as many items as I want. I can get any skills that I want to maximum level. So as you notice here, for my character, you can see everything's in the 3000s except for his primary stats. Characteristics are the same, only the skills are through the fucking roof. Everything else is within parameters. I can get as much profit factor as I want, as many navigator insights as I want. So the main reason for this stream is purely to flex my voice acting abilities, or lack thereof. Do the best that I can to voice act as much as I can. So my game will not resemble a game that your playthrough will not be the same as mine in no way, shape, and or form, unless you do the same things that I'm doing. But my playthrough is not normal. Do not feel a way about it. This is not for the game. It's not for the playthrough. This is for me to just practice. Amid the lifeless rocks and lava lakes, the ship's augurs have detected something resembling buildings. Nothing off with their outlines, but their presence in and of itself suggests there may be some valuables to uncover among the ruins. According to you. The scouts are able to discern symbols of the Imperium on the buildings, deformed and fused together by high temperatures. The ore mining structures tell a sad story. Centuries ago, the planet and all its riches perished beneath the radiance of the expanding sun. Okay. They are very close to their system sun. One. Luthasar will last. Actually, wait, why is that place already named? We haven't been here yet. Très bizarre. Oh, is this where we come for Caligo's Winter Scale when he goes crazy? Right, probably. So I did hear I'm going to visit as many systems as possible before we head to Dargonis. IDEX is a planet of no particular note. However, the small station suspended in orbit sends a distress call to your ship. The man in a hurried vox introduces himself as a planetary governor and asks for the rogue trader's assistance in a delicate matter. He promises to supply details in a private vox conversation. Study records concerning the planet. It appears IDEX recently suffered a major coup. One of its noble families seized power and made outcasts of the former dynasty. Such plots are not uncommon, although notably IDEX has become less prosperous under the new government. Demand that he has foul talking with nothing to hide. The governor's transmission is interrupted by an official request from the planet. Hydex's authorities are claiming that the person who just contacted you is a member of a heretical sect of nobles who have escaped from the warden's custody. The planetary government is asking in the name of the Imperium that the traitor be eliminated at once. Whoever was the planet's official rule has been reduced to less than a silver skull material. Try the station as well. For heretic trophies. Alright, let's deal with these fuckers. I assume this is Drukhari? Look like Drukhari vessels from their later patterns.
Enemy contact! All hands, make ready to unleash our fury!
It's Eldari, not Drukhari. Exploring around at the speed of sound. Got places to go. Gotta follow my rainbow. Can't just stop, got to keep moving on. Follow me, set me free. Trust me and we can escape from the city. I'll make it to on up to you. Follow me. A tiny colony is buried in an enormous yawning pit. The edges of its civilian structure is barely visible from even the shuttle. Explore the colony. The settlement was destroyed when the ground swelled up under it. The forlorn bones of dead colonists are strewn amid the rubble. On the edge of the crater, scouts deliver a tunnel entrance. Apparently there was an explosion in the cavities beneath the town, whose unsuspecting people fell instantly into the chasm and opened as a result. Near its gaping maw is a shuttle, overturned and blackened by the blast, forever motionless. Same with the shuttle. Landings on the shuttle are empty bomb containers and corpses clad in characteristic armor. The Void craft belonged to the Adeptus Arbites. Surviving records suggest it was Arbites who planted the explosive and collapsed the tunnels on top of their dwellers. Especially the papers, you find demolition plans. Arbitrators knew that detonating the tunnels would bury the colony, but persisted. Prioritized eliminating the criminals over preserving the lives of ordinary settlers. Documents also include the map of the Cronus Expanse containing encrypted data. It appears the arbitrators were aware of other smugglers' cache, but in a different system. To get the tunnel. Deep beneath the rubble, scouts uncovered remains of warehouses, depots, and veritable maze of suspicious tunnels created with airlocks. Judging by the flattened containers with half-effaced markings, the impressively vast subterranean city belonged to a smuggling syndicate. Okay then. This planet can barely sustain life, and yet searchers discovered a long-lost Imperial colony, one that was cut off from the rest of the galaxy centuries ago. The colonists live in conditions worse than any Underhive, yet they still venerate the Emperor and gladly welcome their visitors. The Lord Captain receives an invitation from the local ruler, the Archqueen Princeps Domina. The Archqueen an official visit. The ruler meets the Lord Captain in a shack, considered to be a palace by the people here. The Archqueen's unusual crown is made of metal coils, most likely parts of an ancient device for boiling water. The guests are served the finest delicacies the colony can provide. The Archqueen praises the visitors in mangled Low Gothic and calls the Lord Captain her dear brother. At the end of the audience, gifts are presented to the guests. The Archqueen's minister delicately remarks that the best possible gift the Lord Captain and his crew could provide would be replenishment of the colony's meager gene pool. The Archqueen is delighted and flattered. She hopes the Lord Captain will pay her more visits in the future. Oh boy. What is this? Oh, it's Verbos. Swift and merciless retribution is a proper fate for many transgressors, but the Imperium permits using the convicts for hard labor on distant prison worlds like Verbos 6. To atone for their crimes before the humankind, hundreds of thousands of rogues and lowlifes toil in the mists of the Von Valencia's protectorate until death from exhaustion or some other unfortunate accident claims their forsaken souls. Oh, we can't access this yet? Okay. Fine. I guess they expect everybody to go like bum rush towards the mission locations, but it's always worthwhile to travel around and see what you can find. Because it just keeps them unlocked and we're good to go to whenever we need to go there. Plus, one of the reasons why I want to do all of this is because I can get an infinite amount of navigator insight, so it's not a problem. Another named planet. Dude, we have so many plasteel extractors. Oh, is this where the fucking yeah? This is where this happens. Yeah, this is where the Rogue Trader thing happens. Yeah, Zarkov. Yeah, we'll come back here later. Rogue Trader thing? What am I saying? Museum of Trazyn's thing happens over there. Huh. Interesting. Dead end over there.
Our augurs seem to have gone mad, Lord Captain. Every reading contradicts the next, and their data is in disarray. Either this is some new anomaly, or someone really does not want to be found.
This is how Assyrianic cloaking systems work, Alantak. Ships of my people are unwilling to make contact with outside observers. I believe there are good reasons for this. I have seen such massive forces before. Misses before. Typically they were followed by frightening reports of Eldari attacks. Be cautious, Lord Captain. Xenos, Eldari in particular, like to hide their dark deeds behind such technology, Serene. Why don't we take a peek at them? Try to contact the anomaly. After a few long seconds, an inhumanely melodic voice answers you. Do not come any closer, monkey. You must not interfere in our search. The ancient enemy lies dormant, but we shall find him and claim our revenge. Leave now, or we will be forced to attack. What are you seeking revenge for? For the demise of a great warlord who once clashed with the enemy in this very sector. Cain himself deigned to guide his hand, bestowing his own sword upon him. But even that was not enough. Seems I'm looking for the same sword. I will not let that happen. Oh, for God's sake. Those of you who've played through the Museum of Trazyn, you know what this is.
Let us purge your enemies, Rogue Trader.
Crank him, John.
Blessed are the faithful.
The planet, riddled with huge tunnels, resembles an anthill of gigantic proportions. Even looking down on the eerie landscape chills the blood. The ship's augers do not detect any signs of life on the surface. Scan the planet. The entire surface of the planet is lifeless grey rock, but the atmosphere is breathable without a void suit. In some deep tunnels, strangely shaped, chalky sediments have been found. In an expedition. The scouts wandered through the huge, empty tunnels for a long time, sending infrequent and almost uneventful reports back to the bridge, until communication with one of the first groups is cut off. Vox simply can no longer pick up the right frequency. And a new team to the missing group's location? A new scout team is immediately dispatched to the site of the disappearance, and very soon sends back a report that the Vox signal is blocked by the strange matte black material that covers the walls of tunnels a certain depth. They also report that inside these tunnels are the remains of a camp, apparently belonging to an Imperial expedition. Explore the camp. Several kilometers ahead, the tunnels are filled with time-worn fortifications and ancient weapons and equipment as fragile as glass. The scouts are surprised to find several hastily assembled stone barrows. The people who spent time in these tunnels have probably already found everything they wanted and buried their dead and left the planet. Okay. Neat. That Necron buildings, the looks of it. One second, guys. Oh. Okay. There's also a good way to get your developments done as well.
Your Lordship, Janus is reporting about a disaster. Ghostly Xenos figures that appear at dusk and go away at dawn. In a ravenous swarm, they attack one agricultural facility each night, freezing everything they touch. The attacks take place in the complexes closest to the uncontrolled sector of the planet, where nature itself has turned against us. Fortunately, not too many facilities were damaged. Our irreconcilable struggle has moved beyond the borders of the affected sector. The important production lines have survived.
What do we know about these wraiths?
Not much. They are incorporeal and difficult to discern. But they happen to have Eldari features. The spirits draw the warmth out of humans, plants, and inanimate objects. But it seems they do not hunt consciously. Rather, they simply do not notice anything in their way. At dawn, they dissolve into mists. The wraiths also differ among themselves. Some are as dark as the void, and others shine like the stars in the night sky.
What is spawning these wraiths? Is it the corrupted sector?
It is unlikely. They gather at its borders at the break of dawn and whirl in a wild dance, howling and destroying all living things, then disperse into thousands of fading flashes. Agricultural facilities that happen to be in the way of their dance fall into disrepair.
Something's not right. The wraiths appear on the planet's outskirts and rush toward the heart of the contaminated region instead of invading from within. Furthermore, the differences may suggest that there are two groups of wraiths opposing each other. What think my advisors? When dealing with Xenos, one should be prepared for the manifestation of all sorts of ominous mysteries. There's a whole cast of specialists among the cold traders who use rituals to expel spirits from Xeno artifacts. Perhaps we should ask the Xeno Whisperers? After certain events on board, I became interested in ghosts. I bought a book on footfall, an illegal one of course, that describes the so-called ritual of silence. It is said to be able to pacify violent spirits on the scale of an entire world, but I can't vouch for the safety of this ritual. Instead of relying on wicked ways to solve problems, it would be better to turn our good priests. There are skilled exorcists in the ecclesiarchy who know how to drive out dark spirits. Of course, Sherry. Jay Hadari has friends everywhere. A group of suspicious characters covered in talismans arrive on Janus. After seeing the dance of ghosts firsthand, they conferred and made a short trip into the jungle. They later returned, their numbers diminished, loaded with ancient Eldari obelisks stolen from the ruins. The locals have called the obelisks installed in agri complexes a blessed miracle. The energy of residents of the obelisk has formed intangible domes providing shelter against wraiths. Very good. Okay, that's all that done. Now we can build the rest of this shit. Nothing that's boosting is there. Oh, there's nothing. I wanted to build Crusade, right? I need mechanisms and weapons. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay. Do any of you give Mega Mechanism or weapons? No, you fucking don't. Some bitch. Okay. Oh, we just walked into a space battle? Okay. Oof, we have 10 enemies. Where's your flagship? There's your flagship. fuck? Why did this open? No, they blew up the Heartless, bro. Wait, what does that mean?
Initiate the barrage! Fire at will! Macro cannon, volley! Let the enemy burn!
Oh man, I hope I don't lose the Heartless permanently. That's gonna suck, unless I can repair it or something. Because if the Heartless is gone, ooh, that's gonna be rough. My fault for abandoning the Heartless in the first place.
The Augurs have detected an unusual anomaly, a planet surrounded by a huge asteroid belt. Seasoned wayfarers say that it is most likely torn apart by tidal forces, and they suggest exploring the rings to obtain useful resources. From a detailed scan. The planet around which the asteroid is orbiting is incredibly radioactive. The closer the shuttle gets to it, the more it will be irradiated. The only safe option is to gather anything useful that is far enough away from the exposed core of the ruptured planetary body. Then a party out to investigate the rings. A short time later, scouts report a cavern-filled asteroid with a giant vein of valuable metal inside. It will be hauled to the flagship immediately. The tech priests serving on the shuttles do not recommend drawing any closer to the core. The death of pilots from radiation will inevitably lead to irreversible loss of sacred machines. Fuck it. Following orders, the scouting teams are steadily... Buzz comes shorter and shorter. Radiation counters inside the shuttles set off the scale. One of the ships transmits an unusual signal to the control room. Pilots saw what appears to be an abandoned Imperial shuttle among the void debris. However, you cannot get close to it. Radiation is too strong. Demand they move closer! One by one, the scouting team sends their shuttles even closer to the planet. 4 minutes later, contact ends with all of them. Scouting shuttles continue to orbit the murderous planet forever. Fuse rings of varying hues drift slowly past the laced windows of the captain's bridge. Oh, we're about to find out if the Heartless survived or if we've lost it forever. Oh, thank God. Okay, the Heartless didn't get destroyed. Okay, everything is behind me. There are 5 ships. 2 ahead of me. These guys are miles away. Okay, we'll deal with this guy first then.
just heading.
Charred ruins have been detected on the ship on the planet's surface. The architecture, buildings, the architecture, building materials, layout, and passages betrays their Xenos origin. There are currently no signs of Xeno activity on the planet, and the ruins seem to be abandoned. Run a detail scan. The burnt husk of an Imperial shuttle has been found in the heart of the ruins. The pilot's remains are badly damaged. It would be see the shuttle smash into the building at full speed, causing the fire that destroyed it. A visitor member of the Augur crew has detected a small Xenos vessel drifting through the void. The ship is unpowered and shows no signs of being crewed. Not a boring shuttle. The squad's boarded a vessel without issue. Corrosion had laid waste to the ship's systems, which had led to the death of the entire crew. Interior is full of Eldari corpses. No weapons were found on board. Dead Xenos, judging by their clothing, were not part of any warrior caste, merely a crew of a now defunct ship. The Xenos Irlet claims to have recognized symbols of the dead Eldari clothes. They were civilian refugees from the craft-ruled Krudarak. Well then. Inquisition shipwreck. Oh, this place. Alright, before we proceed any further, I'm gonna go have a cigarette. I'll be back shortly. Stick around. Okay. Random shotgun.
Marching ahead. Now that was easy.
The Gift of Decay. Words of Nurgle.
Venture forth. Perfect.
Embrace the Gift of Decay.
Nothing can catch me off guard. My actions speak louder than words. Let's seize the moment.
Plague Bearer.
Stay sharp.
What's RBT's helmet? Sorry, my bad. For some reason, I thought that was a Sororitas helmet.
Challenging me was a mistake.
Isn't this a job for the serfs? Try to die with grace, at least.
I understand your intent. This tedium is...
That was close.
Let's see this through. Said, so done.
Another soul slips beyond the veil. I am not your zenith.
High momentum.
If it serves your cause. The other side awaits.
Let's set this in motion.
I move as if unseen. I will not die in dishonor. A
A dance of blades and shadows. Trust me.
Endure my wrath. As said, so done. I know what to do. Marching ahead. Venture forth.
Hello, Captain. This is Voxmaster Vigdis Sura Orta Toliman speaking. Hope your heroic expedition was a success. What will be your further instructions? The machine spirit of this vessel is dead and defiled. It should be sent to the Omnici in a proper nuclear funeral rite.
Don't bother the vessel. Let the dead follow the dead. As you wish, Lord Captain. The power of our main battery should be enough to penetrate the glacier and evaporate the vessel completely. Very good. Fucking Nurgle spawn. The augurs have detected the remnant of some ancient mining ship that crashed on the planet. It looked like it was carrying equipment and settlers to a new mining site. Searching the ship might prove useful, but it might carry certain risks. Conduct a search. The search team was able to retrieve the last surviving extractium from the debris. They suffered no losses and returned to the ship triumphant. We welcome your lordship to Heriox Rim, our humble trading station. I am Steward Pontius Lockton. I'm here to offer our highborn guests only the finest wares and special ship modules. Helmsman's snort is heard over the internal Vox channel.
A trading station? Pull the other one. Everyone in the Expanse knows that this is a pirate den where they peddle the stolen plunder. But, to be fair,
they never touch the customers, which is probably why they're still alive. I wish to upgrade the vessel's weapons. Perhaps you might be interested in macro cannons. Solid, robust, in very good condition. You'll crush the enemy with their power at your side. You have a deal. I require a more powerful engine. Take a look at this model. It'll be worthy of acquisition for your flagship. The spirit of this machine is obstinate but fast. But did it fail to carry its owner away from disaster? Absolutely not. The previous owner was boarded at the dock. I mean, apologies. When I said that this merchandise is perfectly illegal. Deal? What rumors have been flying around lately? Same old. Rampaging pirates, nefarious smugglers, Xenos preying on lone ships. The valiant Imperial Navy alone fights them all. And we thank the God Emperor that we can enjoy its protection. There's a rumor about a lone Adeptus Mechanicus ship, an ancient hulk that was reported to appear in one system or the other, only to vanish the next day. But who knows why it broke away from the explorer fleet, or what secrets it may hold. But this is just a tall tale, unworthy of your lordship's ears. A walk session. Okay. Nothing there. Yeah, Prometheum, nice. Alright, fuck it, let's take on the enemies of humanity. We'll go off the planets. You are facing Chaos Worshippers. It seems their ships have been lying in wait here. The Voxmaster reports incoming transmission. Accept the messages. A blood-curdling, visceral scream from the Voxcaster deafens the officers on the bridge. Frightened and pale, they cover their ears with their hands to carry on working despite the impulse to vomit. A mocking, inhuman voice giggles hysterically. Today is the day you die! And the transmission ends. I'm sorry, this is World Eaters? Only World Eaters are frigging bloodthirsty. Murder class. Very cool.
They are exposed. Unleash your weaponry.
Engage the last batteries!
The stars will judge you.
It's just one ship.
Let the enemy burn!
Huh. Okay.
Yet another world is burning before your eyes. It is covered in geysers belching forth clouds of incendiary gas, feeding a massive conflagration enveloping the planet. Thousands of years ago, a single flash of lightning or some spark launched a chain reaction that transformed the world into a blistering inferno. Now that you know what to look for, your augurs easily locate traces of the mysterious underground constructions. Examine the constructions and discover artifacts using knowledge you've collected earlier. The meticulous work of the tech priests and archivists is taking forever. Even your astropathic choir master joins the effort, spending long hours in a trance and reading messages to those who can help. When the result comes, it is astounding. It looks like the builders from the flame use hereditary bacterial structures to record information. The artifacts you discovered on the burning worlds contain colonies of bacteria whose genes carry the message from these xenos across generations. Their language, however, bears a passing semblance to some of the ancient samples already available to your scientists. They managed to make a crude translation of some of these records. They revealed that the builders from Flame were not originally colonizing the burning worlds. Their homeland was not a planet but a star. It's difficult to imagine what creatures that evolved in burning oceans of a faraway sun may have looked like, but one day their peaceful existence came to an end. The records contain a chilling legend about some cosmic horror that arrived and devoured the sun that the builders called home. Fearing the monster, they fled and no longer dared to settle on stars. The builders considered burning worlds as the most fit for habitation, yet they went extinct shortly after the Exodus. Perhaps unable to adapt to the harsh realities of the outside their stellar home, the civilizations left a wealth of unique technologies and heat-resistant materials, and now the treasure belongs to the Von Valencia's dynasty. Ceramite plating, diamantine armor plating, plastic crystal ores, and we got profit factor. Very nice. It appears that a large void ship recently dumped a huge load of junk and of faulty parts from orbit. The debris that did not burn up on the atmosphere is now blocking the flow of a mighty river. This dam is causing the river to overflow, flooding the nearby valley. A herd of large hoofed rodents has gathered along the riverbanks. If the animals lose their usual habitat, they are doomed. Yep. It takes many planetary turns and hundreds of crew members to remove the heap of trash that unclogged the river. Letting the waters flow freely once more. The rodents run back to their pastures without so much as a backward glance at the people who saved them. Lord Captain, the Augurs cannot determine who the ship we approach belongs to, but the telemetry clearly reveals it is an Imperium vessel. The hull is badly damaged, but there is air in some of the chambers, which means they are hermetically sealed. What are your orders concerning the discovery? Send an order and prepare my troops for boarding. I will personally take part in the exploratory mission. Region, Senatorus Maleficum. Location, Agathis Arcades. Material, extract from unofficial news sheet. Window on the bridge. Distributed by the middle decks. Recorded by unknown. Note, the veracity of the recounted events is questionable. Alright, I'm going to have a quick smoke. Be right back.
Okay, we're gonna do a couple more things, then I'm gonna have to call the stream because I gotta prepare for Dungeons and Dragons. So let's get through this, shall we? We who walked on the same passageways in the same bays day after day, who are born, live, and die to the hum of the ship's machines, we forever hunger for the smallest glimpse of another life, and for a chance to see the heroes who tirelessly fight for us and the glory of the Imperium. So let's have a tale about the Lord Captain, by the will of the Emperor, the guardian, the commander of every good and honest soul aboard this void ship, and the time he boarded the vessel named the Fireborn. Like the dead whale cast ashore by inexorable force of swell, the wrecked vessel was a confronting sight for its unwitting visitors. Some base still retained an atmosphere. There was no life anywhere. The ship was dead. Its machine spirits dissipated in the darkness of space. It was the husk left and the Rogue Trader's crew who became scavengers swarming the carcasses of the fallen Leviathan. Our Lord Captain oversaw the expedition personally. He decided to train the penetrating gaze of the auger arrays on the damaged ship. The auger's keen eye scanned the eerie vessel, identifying that the void ship was gravely damaged and was in the process of final erosion. There was very little time to explore it. 3 sectors seemed the least damaged: the bridge, the middle crew deck, and the service bay. After exchanging a series of trills and warbles in their mysterious and ancient language, the tech priest responsible for the augers reported to the Lord Captain that they had glimpsed signs of valuable components in Operation Service Bay. Turned his attention to the scout units awaiting instructions. Lord Captain decided which of these 3 teams he would lead, and which 2 would be entrusted to the officers. Let there be known the names of these honest people that stood before a rogue trader at the moment. The taciturn, grave young Ho-San, whose word was as firm as his handshake. Captain Vesti, whose jokes we remembered from everyone from decks 3 to 5. Captain Matina, the serial officer of the 3rd unit, known to many as Grey Matina. She had been leading units back when the current crops of scouts were snot-nosed kids. No one on the deck was in any doubt that navigating inside of the wrecked ship would be difficult. The units would be separated by kilometers of twisting metals, dead modules devoid of atmosphere, collapsed passageways, and hull breaches the size of a house. The only thing connecting the brave teams would be a delicate thread of a Vox link. So after weighing up the options, Lord Captain decided to go with Vesti and his unit. From here on, we will relate the events based on what we have learned from the witnesses, the people who accompanied Lord Captain on the tour of the dread ship. The shuttles had started up one after another and dispersed, each heading for a selected target. An hour spent on cutting through the hull in the freezing vacuum of space, a fussy boarding, and then finally, the rogue trader stepped into the cold, dark deck of the dead ship. The light of the torches revealed a sign in the gloom: Fireborn. A minute-long exchange with the Vox Master, who quickly checked the archives to establish that the dead vessel was that of Captain Nova Van Dane, registered at Kievagama port. The irrepressible Captain Vesti offered a brief prayer for the favorable outcome of the expedition. May we leave this place a little richer than we arrived, for rich men are joyous men, and an honest man's joy makes heretics and chaos cultists weep. The Lord Captain praised his commander for maintaining morale and ventured deeper into the ship. Sound crackled from the Vox speakers and a light on the casing switched on, signaling a message coming in from the first unit's frequency. Commander Young Ho-San calmly reported that his unit was making satisfactory progress towards the ship's bridge. After several hours exploring the ship, the Lord Captain's unit came up against an obstacle. The middle deck's arsenal and storage depot were somewhere nearby, but the section of the ship had suffered serious damage. Fragments of cables were sparking everywhere, clearly still electrified. Moving any further could be very dangerous. The Lord Captain decided to access the ship's power grid and cut off the power to the sector. The Lord Captain's assessment was proved entirely justified, with difficulty but no adverse incidents. The unit crossed the dangerous section. Their visit to the storage depot was fortuitous. It was full of cargo. Captain Vesti's satisfied smile made it clear that he believed this result was down to his own prayer. The voice of young So-Han reached the Lord Captain's ears once again. The first unit's captain soberly reported that his people were proceeding to the bridge. The ensuing deathly silence alerted the Lord Captain that something was wrong. Following the gazes of his teams, he saw that the unit's dispatcher, who was carrying a large Vox caster with the antennae and transmitter, was lagging behind the rest of the group, and the transmission indicator was dark. There were no incoming messages, even if there had been. San's voice couldn't have sounded so close, as if the dispatcher or San himself was standing right next to the rogue trader. Son here. Unit 1 proceeding to the bridge. To the voice again. Now it seemed to be coming from all sides, drawing in from left and right, and from the upper deck, and even more, even from somewhere among the massive cables overhead. Lord Captain had to build a dam against fear, drawing upon logic and his knowledge of the monstrous apparitions of chaos. Lord Captain managed to not only maintain his self-control, but also keep the terrified unit from veering into outright panic. Led by the rogue trader, the scouts hurriedly retreated to their shuttle, pursued by their comrade's disembodied voice, which continued to repeat the same brief message. A message came in from the unit led by the seasoned, unflappable Grey Matina. The captain methodically reported that all service-based sections her team had already examined. They had found nothing of value, and they had found no bodies. There had been no incidents, and the search was proceeding as normal. The unit was waiting for further instruction from the Lord Captain. After distilling the salient points from Grey Metina's exhaustive report, Nero listed the areas that warranted more thorough search. After returning to the shuttle, Nero received reports of fireborne status. Deck priests who relentlessly pierced the wreckage with the auger's gaze insisted on curtailing the operation as they were soon as possible, fearing the imminent destruction. There were also reports from other two units. Grey Matina's units had explored the surface bay without incident and, not wasting any time, had marked valuable components later for disassembly and transferred to the rogue trader ship. Augers of the Vox system proved equally less useless. The first unit, which had been exploring the bridge, had vanished without a trace, almost as if the dead ship had swallowed them whole. The scouts and their commander, Young Son Ho, simply disappeared, joining the thousands of crew members lost aboard the Fireborn. The units assembled the shuttles, and the Lord Captain gave the final order of this grim expedition. It was a memorial prayer of the Omnisci in honor of the ship, the fallen wonder of engineering. So many had perished, and it was sorrowful indeed, but it was a shallow grief compared to the anguish felt at the demise of the machine as magnificent as the Fireborn. The deck priest said the prayer, lamenting the dead ship and beseeching the Omnisci not to turn his back on humankind, though they sometimes failed to safeguard his wondrous gifts. Time was up. The scouting party had returned to their ship. With one last look at the Fireborn, the rogue trader gave order to fire upon the dead vessel at range, for that which was born in fire should also perish in fire. Neat. The rings. The giant rings on this planet's surface can be observed even from orbit. Examine the rings. It has emerged that this planet has a native species of giant insect similar to Terran ants. Just like ants, they sometimes form so-called death spirals in which one creature follows another without realizing they're going in circles. These were the rings discovered by the ship's observers. The strange phenomenon that was originally suspected to be a sign of warp activity or nefarious Xenos structure turned out to be a quirk of nature, and a tragic one at that. Cool. The augurs have detected wreckage in the void ship's vicinity, but the extent of the nature of this wreckage remains unclear. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I think we can do maybe one more system. Maybe.
The bizarre structure observed from orbit appears to be a ruined estate of a wealthy noble. Further searching reveals the remains of an envirodome, a landing pad, a main manor, and the servants' quarters. It is impossible to determine what exactly happened here. The search team has found something truly disturbing in the main hall, an opulently clothed skeleton sitting at the dining table. The table is set with gold plates covered in old blood and piles of bones. The bones on the plates are clearly human. No other remains have been found on the estate. So it's true. The security team returns with some expensive weapons taken from the skeleton. After finishing the report, they hurry away whispering prayers. Did we just get our hands on? An assault lasgun. Right to here. Unidentified void ship. A Vox notification from the Augur crew drowns out the usual noise on the bridge. An Imperial vessel, the Dark Piercer, and its escort ships are headed your way. Your archives make no mention of either ship or its owner. As you consider your course of action, the ship's captain contacts you first, introducing himself as the Pilgrim. The captain greets the rogue trader courteously and offers to purchase any information you might have on crystal phlogiston deposits. Ask why they need phlogiston. Captain's coarse laughter echoes from the Vox. Phlogiston is a part and parcel of many different aspects of life in the Imperium. How exactly his customers are going to use it is none of his concern. All that the Pilgrim promises is that the phlogiston will be used for the good of humanity. Jay immediately remarks that someone without a name is not to be trusted. Deals with such people do not tend to end well. If she were you, she would first find out his secrets and then scrupulously remove him from the equation. Pascal becomes visibly animated at the mention of phlogiston. Though indifferent to the prospect of a deal with the shadowy individual, the Magos nonetheless recommends you find out more about phlogiston deposits. Your own protector would benefit from such knowledge. Sister Argenta sincerely believes the words of the Pilgrim. A cowl or a golden aquila are no prerequisites for being his true servant. If the captain sincerely wants to help the Imperium, perhaps by his own methods, there's nothing questionable about extending a helping hand. That's why the captain called himself the Pilgrim. The captain admits that he has always done the right thing in his life, but he once beheld the blessing of the Emperor himself, and has followed a special path of service to him ever since. That path now, that is the path that he now treads as the Pilgrim. Propose a deal. Valuable information in exchange for phlogiston. Captain of the Dark Piercer is in the best of spirits. In gratitude for your invaluable help, he sends you a small box containing many ancient maps and documents. They appear to speak to a certain imperial world lost many centuries ago. Then in a somewhat conspiratorial tone, the Pilgrim relates a story about a standoff between two Xenos fleets, which he was told by an acquaintance. The person in question, sadly enough, died at the hands of the Inquisition before they were able to pass on the coordinates of the crash site of one of the Xenos ships. However, the Pilgrim knows for a fact that the vessel met its demise on an ocean world. Bid farewell and travel onward. A ship that once traveled the galaxy now suspended in silent void like the gnawed carcass of a giant monster. When the rogue trader ship, Void Shipper, approaches, Voxmaster reports an incoming message. A colony of the Imperium subjects have made their home in the bowels of the ship. They welcome the Lord Captain. This is the colony.
Onward to victory.
Do these monkeys truly spend their brief lives digging through refuse? Why do they not choose another path? Find another self?
These people are humble at heart and diligent in their work, as all true children of the Imperium ought to be.
The Domin bringing a Xenos into his retinue is some kind of elaborate trap.
If that is the case, then we should have been informed. Otherwise, the prey might find its neck snapped before the trap can slam shut.
A tired-looking woman in indeterminate age, clad in work clothes, breaks off from her task to greet you. She freezes momentarily, clearly unsure how to address you, and then says simply, "Your Lordship, please excuse me. I don't really know your name. Welcome to a little colony. The light of the Emperor be with you, and with us. My name is Rita Maskimova. I am in charge here." What is this place? We call ourselves Rita's crew, and this place is Rita's camp. That's it. We're recollegers, scavengers in the common terms. Doesn't speak the word scavengers with any kind of disdain. On the contrary, there's a dignity in her voice, the kind in which would announce their affiliation with a respected guild or family. Tossing a glass of Pascal, she grimly adds, "And our work is all legal, even though your brethren have no liking for us." Pascal stares dispassionately at Rita with a hint of disgust. Evidently, he has not even considered the possibility that replying to this creature's words would be anything other than heresy. "What do you do here?" "Right now, we're guarding the old heap of junk, slowly but surely. That's what we call life for you. They drop us off at some decrepit station or an ancient battlefield, and we sit there for years on end. We look for working tech, or valuable materials, or whatever else might be useful. If we find anything, we sell it to passing ships. Not the easiest job out there. These wrecks are chock full of all kinds of dangers. But, and I swear on my plasma torch, it's an exciting one for sure. Little bird's got all kinds of bells and whistles. Most of the tech is dead. We do find working pieces now and again. We spent 2 whole months clearing out the shaft we found, finished just 3 days ago actually. And we found this thing, a bit weird looking, but still functional. His expression brightens a little. Perhaps the Lordship would like to buy this component from us? I'll bet that big ship you've got could get plenty of use out of it." Pascal's voice crackles to life. Imperiously he tells her, "Present the object to the laywoman," but curiosity creeps into his voice nonetheless. "I'll buy the component." "Well, isn't this something? The Emperor himself must have smiled upon us." Rita makes a triumphant gesture. "I mean, thank you, your Lordship. You will be pleased with the results." Her mood improves visibly. "You know, your Lordship, it's kind of embarrassing to offer you this, but over there in that corner there, we keep things we don't rightfully understand or can really use. You could send some of your people to check it out if you'd like. Clearly you know more about this stuff than us. You might find something useful." "You take pride in your trade, I say." "Sure do. You take skill and luck and a good head on your shoulders. We risk our lives every day crawling on top of these old buckets. If something goes wrong, we die, but the scores sometimes. But one moment we're there, the next we're gone. Kind of like workarounds, but you know what, your Lordship, our job also has something, how should I put it, poetic about it. Hope you don't judge me too harshly and don't take it as insolence, but some people, even big people like you, think too highly of themselves. Let's say your ship hops into the warp someday and it doesn't hop out in time. And 1,000 years later, another gal like myself who needs to feed her 3 ankle biters somehow, we're rifling through its remains, looking for anything good. That's just the nature of things. Each of us comes and goes, but the way of the world works stays the same. We all have a lot in life, and mine is just as good as any other." "You are amusing, little monkey. Your life is shorter than a moth's, and you spend it digging around in the carcass of the dead, malevolent metal. But you speak of eternity and the stars. I like that. I like seeing starlight reflected in a puddle." "You speak as if the world is set in stone and none of us can change anything for the better." "There's some big things you're talking about, way out of my depth. Change for the better? Heck, that'd be nice." Rita pauses to think. "If I was younger and didn't have 3 youngsters back home, maybe I would even dream about stuff like that too. But as it is, I've got no time for dreaming. I've got to work." "You've got your own ship?" "Not even close. A luxury to that. You could count the recollegers who got their own ship on one hand. An old worker's hand that got sucked into the machinery 3 times and slashed by a plasma cutter twice. We fly with whoever, most likely just taking our chances. Sometimes we hitch a ride home on the promise that we'll pay with what we find later. Other times we find other means. Risky business, obviously. That was years back. Our crew got dropped off at an abandoned station, but something wasn't right with the life support systems. The ship came back to pick them up 2 years later and found nothing but bodies. About 15 years ago, back before I had my first little one, a ship took 3 crews to a location and ran into pirates on the way back. The ships go on expeditions for years at a time, so it ages before anyone realizes they were missing. And it was even longer before they remember the scavengers, plus it took some time to find the ship that could check on them and pick them up. Long story short, all 3 crews had bought it. Yep. What can you tell me about this wreck? Not much. We're no eggheads, you know. We're manual labor. It's an ancient thing that's pretty dangerous, and we don't really know much beyond that. Before we came here, some tech priests had done their bit of gutting. I mean, ritualing, bowing to spirits and all that. That lot don't tend to leave a whole lot of valuables behind, it's true, but it's way too scary to go in there before them. And hey, we dragged a dozen of their broken servitors out of the mines after. The carcasses smell awful, but you can pluck a decent number of parts out of a servitor and sell them. Doesn't seem there's anything nasty living inside the wreck now, but the wreck itself is barely holding together. You have a couple of modules from here, and that's it. You won't take another step without fearing that a broken reactor might cook you alive, or a whole module might depressurize. Well, it's nothing that we haven't handled before, so we're having a poke at it. We don't have a clue what the ship is or who it belonged to. I can take you from this place. It's not safe here. Sooner or later, you will drift somewhere so remote, nobody will find you again. But this is our whole livelihood, your lordship. You take us away from here, and what are we going to do? Sit in some hole, slaving away? Here we've got our own colony, our own operation. No, this is our path, and we won't stray from it. See. Your lordship, Rita falters as a flustered her own nerve. Please don't take this as insolence, but it's not like I have much choice. It's not often that we get well-stocked ships around here. We could certainly use more provisions and some warm clothes. If it's something you would be willing to provide, we would gladly barter for it with whatever we can dig up inside this here ship. It's just a respectful offer of fair trade. You bow slightly before stepping aside.
Always striving for greatness. Stay sharp. Ooh. Let's see this through.
Alright guys, on that note, I'm going to call my stream here. Got to prep for D&D. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll catch you guys all next time. So from me to you guys until then, peace out.